Hey everybody, it's Carol Billing, and let's take a look at our course calendar for Education 202. So in this course, one unit class, the emphasis is on your 30 hours of observations. And so I have it set up in 2-week blocks here. So the first 2 weeks of class, I need you to get these things done, which is 2 things in the discussion board, 2 things in the blackboard. One is a discussion board where you introduce yourselves, and the second thing is a wiki where you give me an idea of your expectations of the course. And those are both due on the 9th. So 2 weeks to get those done. Deadlines are always Monday at 5. So hopefully I got that date right. And then in the first 2 weeks of school, you should figure out what school you want to do your observations at. You can pick any school that you'd like. And so typically students look for schools that are on their natural travel paths, right? So if you live in Nampa, you're probably not going to pick a school in the north end of Boise. So look at where you go and where you live and where you go every day and figure out a school that's going to be fairly easy for you to get to and is going to kind of be on your natural paths during your semester. Now, that said, you can observe at a school where you're a para. If you're currently a para educator, you may observe at a school where one of your children is enrolled, but you may not observe in your child's class or in your niece or nephew's class. I mean, you don't want to know kids in the class because that will it will alter your observations. I want the observations to be very authentic. And in order to do that, you can't have a personal relationship with a child in the class. That said, I also don't want you observing someone who you're really close to. I wouldn't recommend like a best friend or a parent who's also a teacher or an aunt who's also a teacher. Use those people to recommend someone for you to observe. Those are great words of advice if you go to them and say, thinking about 3rd grade, do you have a really good 3rd grade teacher at your school? And they'll tell you if they don't. They'll say, no, our 3rd grade teacher is not good. And then you don't want to go there unless you want to see what not to do, which there's some merit in that too. But anyway, we're going to try for a good teacher so you get a good observation. So you pick the school, you pick what teacher you want to observe. The parameters with that are nobody that you know super well, no kids in the class that you have a personal relationship with or that are your own children. So if your kids are in kindergarten, go to the kindergarten teacher and say, I want to observe 6th grade. Is the teacher here good to observe? And if it's yes, then go to the principal and ask them, may I observe in Mrs. Smith's 6th grade class? I'm going to give you some documents in Blackboard to help you have that conversation with the principal. But that's kind of how it goes. It's really left up to the student to pick the school, to select the teacher, and if you don't know the teacher, to work with the principal to get a teacher selected. So some students do really well with that. They love the flexibility of picking their own school and being in charge and going and doing it. And other students are totally freaked out, like, oh my God, why do I have to talk to a principal? And so here's what I have to say on that. Yes, you have to talk to a principal. It's important for you to start developing those kinds of go-get-em skills because that's what gets you a job, going out and being able to talk to people. So I know it's not comfortable for you, especially if you're new to doing this, and I'm happy to coach you and help you, and I'm happy to make the first phone call or first email to get you in touch with a principal. But I would highly encourage you to take those steps and put yourself in front of the principal in a positive light, and to be respectful. If you want to email them first, I think they respond best to emails. But also, if it's your kid's school and you know the principal, or you should know the principal if your kids are going to school there, have that conversation with them because they're going to make evaluations on you immediately as far as being a future teacher for them. And you're thinking, what? I'm just a first-year student. Why would they be looking at me? Oh, yeah, they are. Because they're going to be a principal for the next 10 years or 15 years or whatever it may be. And I will tell you that administrators are always looking for good teachers. And even if you're a first-year student, if they think you're good, they're going to say, yes, I want you to observe this person, and then they are going to be looking for you to stay in contact with them throughout your schooling. Maybe do your student teaching there, or maybe do other observations there. So you're actually starting your job hunting now. You're starting creating your reputation really in the district now. So it's very exciting. It's very cool. And I want you to take a hold of it and grab it and put your best foot forward and take advantage of this opportunity, because this is the beginning of your job and of your career. All right. So that pep talk aside, the first 2 weeks, pick your school, contact the principal or the teacher. If you know a teacher and you want to observe them, a teacher maybe someone in your family had before that you knew was really great, fantastic. You may contact the teacher first, but you always have to run it through the principal because they need to be in the loop, number one, and number two, they have a greater scope on what's going on in the school and can decide if you observing is going to be a good or bad thing. And by that I mean they might have 5 students from NNU doing student teaching, and so you coming in, even though you're in a different class or whatever, it's just too many people in the school at one time, and we need to be respectful of that because the Valley is very full of student teachers. So that's why I always have principal/teacher here, because you may know the teacher and that's great, but you still need to contact the principal and give them a heads up and make sure they're cool with it. Okay. You're going to get an observation scheduled together by working with the teacher, picking times to watch that fit your schedule, but also are good observation times for the particular class. For example, if they're on a block schedule, you don't want to observe during your teacher's prep time. As lovely as that may sound, you're not going to get to see the class time that you want to see during your 30 hours. So, and then the second 2 weeks, you're also going to get your observation forms in order and finished. Let's see, complete observation forms. I will show you where those are in the Blackboard tour. I don't really think there's anything for you to complete though at this point, because really that's where you track your time. You're going to have 2 Blackboard assignments during the second 2 weeks. One is the journal, where you tell me your observation schedule, what your plan is for getting your 30 hours done. And the second piece is a background check. It's set up as a quiz because that was the best way I could do it in Blackboard, but it's where I can capture your name information so I can run it through the 2 websites that we do to do a very basic background check. We don't do fingerprinting or any of that. We just run your name through 2 websites. So could you do this background check information the first week of classes? Absolutely. The whole Blackboard is open. The first 2 folders are open right now. I'll have the rest of the course open by the end of the first week. So you could, in theory, get all 4 of these things done the first week if you want to really push it, and that's fine. But you have to get these 2 done by the 9th, and you have to get these 2 done by the 23rd. But the background check is pretty basic information, so I would encourage you to get that done early. It also helps me out because I need to go in and run those names through those websites and check you off as good to go. Okay, so looking at the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks, I have that blocked out as the time where you would do your field observations. So 30 hours divided by 9 weeks is roughly 4 hours a week. 34, yeah, that'd be 36. Anyway, give or take a couple of hours. So we're looking at doing like 3 or 4 hours of observation a week for all of these weeks. And then you'll have a journal here. So let's say you did 4 hours and 4 hours each one of these weeks. This journal would be based on your first 8 hours or so, 6 to 8 hours of classroom observation. And then you do a couple, 6 or 8 more, and then you write your curriculum. If you have, this curriculum journal is not specific to only hours 6 through 12 or something like that. It's just all cumulative. So I just try to put journals that are harder to write later on when you have more hours in the classroom. So diversity is a little bit more challenging to really see as an outsider, whereas classroom management is fairly basic and you can probably pick that up pretty quickly in the first couple of hours. Okay, so each one of these is 2 weeks, which is nice. Then the last week before Thanksgiving break, you have just 1 week to do the diversity piece. And you're also at this time going to be building what's called a field experience summary assignment. And I have a folder under assignments where it just talks about that assignment. And so it's explained pretty thoroughly. And so I'll leave that for a little bit more in the Blackboard tour. But you'll write these journals. Then during Thanksgiving week, you'll comment on the draft field experience summary assignments in a discussion board that your peers submit. When we get back from Thanksgiving break, we have about 2 weeks, and then we have finals week. And so during that time, you're going to finish up your field experience summary assignment, and then you're going to, the last week before finals, give me your time card, draft your thank you note, and make sure you mail your thank you note. So that checkbox here is really just for you, because I can't obviously know if you did that or not, but I do want to see a draft of what you're planning to put in the thank you note. And then the last week of school, finals week, you just review and comment on your peers' final field experience summary assignment. And I don't remember what I require, maybe 3 to 5, that you read 3 to 5 other field experience summary assignments and give them feedback. These are actually really fun to read, though, because people are talking about where they went to observe and what they saw. So that's an overview of how the class goes. It's fairly straightforward. Right now, these 2 folders are open, and so you can work through the first 4 weeks of the class, and by the end of the first week of the semester, I expect to have the rest of the folders open, and if I don't quite make it then, it won't be much until week 2 when I have all that done. Your deadlines are always Monday at 5 o'clock, and so what I would do is print this out and then just check these boxes off as you get them done. That way you can make sure you get it done by 5 o'clock on this day. And I think that's about it. I hope that covers it pretty thoroughly, and let me know if you have any questions.